All right. While we're waiting, I also needed to show off. We've got our new special edition JobTread hats. They got the 10,000 strong on the side. We are about to hit 10,000 customers, which is just a huge milestone for us. We are super excited about this. We actually started selling JobTread exactly 5 years ago at IBS, International Builder Show, except that was the year that it had to go virtual because of COVID. And then they had all these people try to log on and the whole thing crashed. And it was like, not the best way to kick off our Taking JobTread product to market. But nonetheless, 5 years later, we are so excited, about to be right at 10,000 customers. We're looking forward to actually, it looks like we're going to hit it right at the International Builder Show next week. So if you do know anyone out there who's not currently using it, we would love for you to recommend that they check us out. And any new customers this week, we're actually giving 50% off for the first 2 months. Just as a final, try to drive as much as we can before the International Builder Show. So again, thank you all for helping us to spread the word. We're going to kick it off here today. So I'd like to welcome Rob Soper. He is with Eagleview, Senior Business Development Manager. Rob is based in Denver, Colorado. He's been with Eagleview for many years, I believe since 2017, and he's been very heavily involved in the roofing and then construction industry for I think it was like over 40 years. He told me, in many roles, from roofing installation to residential home building, roofing materials. He's done B2B, B2C sales, and now at Eagleview, he has landed a role that he's been working on for many years to help, essentially with technology integrations and partnerships within the construction industry. Rob actually reached out to me many moons ago. I think it's probably like 2021, something like that. Wanting to talk about how we could partner and work together and integrate. And we both had some work to do on our ends, and went back, kind of got our teams working together, and ultimately, I think it was a couple of years ago, we're finally both in the place where we're ready to build that integration. And this has been a really exciting partnership. Eagleview and their team has been awesome to work with. So really appreciate you coming on today, Rob, to give this update. Before we kick it off, I've got a couple quick housekeeping things. I want to remind everybody about JobTread Pros. It's our Facebook group. I think we're at about 8,700 members now. Super awesome community. If you've got questions, need help with JobTread, want to brainstorm, ways to do certain things, or just even general business stuff, this is a really awesome community. So if you're not in there, you definitely want to get involved. If you don't subscribe and tune in to Builder Stories, again, I highly recommend it. This is my podcast that every Wednesday we're publishing new episodes about how builders have gotten into the trades, gotten into construction, what led them to start their business, and then what success they've had, as well as what challenges they've had and how they've overcome them. I definitely recommend you tune into these really exciting episodes every week. They get published Wednesday, I believe, 6 a.m. But yeah, if you're not following along, you definitely want to check that out. And I think you can even sort by industry now if you go to builderstories.com, where you can also watch them there. So without any further ado, I want to hand this over to Rob. And Rob, I'm going to give you slide control right now, so you should have the floor.
It looks like I have it. And thanks, Eric. Thanks for the introduction. Thanks for the opportunity to come on today. And I really appreciate it. Anytime I get a chance to kind of share what Eagleview does with any customers, and particularly the JobTread customers, it's an awesome opportunity, and I really appreciate it. I mean, I've been in the construction space for years and years. Started as a teenager shingling, all the way up going through retail sales, manufacturing sales, and obviously now you said I've been with Eagleview since 2017. Selling for a little bit, but the majority of my time here has been building partnerships and integrations with great companies like JobTread. So, and I agree. Working with you guys has been fantastic. I think you set the bar for just your technical IQ as a company, and I'm always impressed. I've been to JobTread Connect twice now, and that event is by far the best one I've been to, both times. And it's just been fantastic. You see the energy, see the education, everything. People get a ton of it out of it. So it's great to be a sponsor there with you guys. What I'd like to start with is just kind of Eagleview 101. If you've been in the roofing industry, the exterior space, you've probably heard of Eagleview. We have tens of thousands of customers. But a lot of people don't know we're not a roof report company. We're actually an imagery company. So the base, the base product or um, uh, the base product that we build off of is our imagery. So we have 20 years of imagery in our database. We've been flying since the early 2000s. And we do it all with airplanes. So we're not satellite based. We have a fleet of about 130 airplanes. We have single engine airplanes, twin engine airplanes like you see in the picture there. And they're single use aircraft. So the only thing they do is capture imagery. We have proprietary cameras. We build them out of our facility in Rochester, New York. We recruit a lot of people from Kodak and Rochester Institute of Technology and from our engineers. And they just build some amazing optics and cameras. What that does for us, the cool thing about that is we have the ability to capture not only the top down, the orthogonal, like you'd see on satellite, but really the secret sauce behind it is the oblique images. So you see on that right picture, it's not top down. You can see the windows, you can see the garage doors, you can see the decks, you can see all around the structure, and those are called oblique images. And because we see that, we can generate 3D twins, basically 3D digital models. And our best imagery now, especially on the twin engine Aztecs, gets us to that sub 1 inch per pixel resolution, which means we can see a golf ball on a putting green from 10,000 feet away, which is pretty amazing. Flying at 140 knots, it's stunning how good our imagery is. And because it's so good, the output, the data that we derive from the imagery is really where it comes into use for most of our customers. That imagery and resolution gets us down to sub 1 inch measurements in any linear direction. So if we're measuring a ridge, for instance, or a valley or a rake or something like that on a roof, it's actually the distance between 2 pixels on an image, not a static image and just a line that's may or may not be referenced correctly. So every pixel's got an X, Y, and Z coordinate. We know the distance between those two coordinates. We know the digital surface model and everything around it. We can deliver 25,000 reports a day. When storms roll through, insurance customers are big customers of ours, government, construction. So we've got massive scale on our production capacity. And we've got 300 domestic and international patents. And again, we service the construction, the solar, the government markets, and also the insurance space. Really, where it comes down to a practical application is where those reports and that data come in. So you have a PDF report and you can print it, you can read it, you can see it's there. But the real magic, and Eric, I know you're going to demonstrate this here at the tail end of this. The real magic is it's not the PDF that's valuable, it's the data behind the PDF. And all of those attributes that we derive from our imagery and put into a report are delivered digitally inside of JobTread and builds your budgets, your estimates, your material work orders, the whole 9 yards. And you can do it. Once you get your template set up, it's a few clicks and you're off and running. It's really amazing when you leverage the technology. And I've seen over the past 7 or 8 years that I've been with Eagleview, how quickly the technology leveraged inside of the roofing and construction industry is going. I mean, it's in 2017, it was about 20 or 25% of the customers or contractors out there were using some kind of technology like JobTread, for a workflow and Eagleview for measurements. And now it's well over 80%. I mean, and we also see the average age of these business owners is getting younger, as the older generation is passing the businesses on and newer people are rolling into the industry, they're adopting technology right from the get-go. So because you can't really keep up without it. But we have residential reports, we have commercial construction reports, we deliver high resolution aerial imagery, we have solar, we also have data and analytics, and we support disaster response. So we're very in tune with civil agencies that are responsible for taking care of disasters like hailstorms and tornadoes and hurricanes, across the South. We deliver our data into a lot of the like FEMA and local, state, and federal agencies in order to be able to triage damage and really get out there and get after it. And Eric's going to show this later. Really, the beautiful thing about the integration is you can see that screenshot there. The total roof area, facets, pitch, stories, ridge rakes, eaves, valleys, the whole 9 yards, including our walls, windows, and doors product. We have a full house product that has everything we can see. We digitize and deliver that attribute. The roof area, the windows, the window dimensions, the siding dimensions. We discriminate between siding and non-siding, or brick and those kinds of things. So you can get paint estimates, you can get siding estimates, windows, gutters, roofs, the whole 9 yards. Everything we can see from those, ortho and oblique images, we can measure. And really, the ability to import that data automatically. Really, the workflow, you start in JobTread, you never go to Eagleview. You can order your measurements and drop them right into your budget templates, configure your parameters, and you're off and running. Really makes for a fantastic experience, and really empowers you to go faster, be more efficient, be more accurate, and really dominate the market. If you're not in technology, you need to be, obviously, because it's where the future is going. You can't keep up without it. And now, I can turn to some of the new products or kind of the new venture that Eagleview is getting into with our property data. What we've done here is we're leveraging artificial intelligence and machine learning algorithms to actually gather data near instantaneously from the image that we have. And the important thing about that is we're using our high resolution aerial imagery, and we've got 20 some years of imagery. We've also measured millions and millions of houses out there. So we have the actual ground truth of what the measurements are, and we've been training the machine learning model on the ground truth measurements that we already have. It's the one thing that nobody else has is stacked inside the company. We own all the imagery, we produce the imagery, and we can leverage that imagery in order to derive these other attributes. What we're able to do now is run our ML algorithms on imagery. So if you type in an address, for instance, we can deliver back to you within seconds the roof age, for instance. We can deliver the roof condition, whether there's missing shingles or damage or streaking or some kind of staining on the roof, or there's tarps on the roof. We know the roof age, for instance, also because of the 20 years of imagery capture that we have. We can go back and run the model and say, hey, when did this color change, or when did the surface material change? And then we can get a window of time where if we capture it every year in Houston, we can tell you down to probably within 6 months of when that roof changed. In some other areas, it might be a couple of years between image captures, but we get really close. And really, we are moving into opportunities that we've never been able to really engage customers with and really pass this information on. We call it the property data powered workflow. And what you see here is kind of from left to right, you've got the stages of a contractor's typical workflow, starting from market and territory analysis and lead gen, all the way to proposals and estimating, contracting, and all the way through installation, and ultimately with like QuickBooks integrations all the way to collections. But what's important when you're doing, and we have tens of thousands of customers, and we've talked to hundreds, if not thousands, of contractors about this product and how they're applying this in their workflows. In the beginning of the workflow, when the lead is created or they're trying to generate leads, speed is important. Accuracy isn't quite as important because you're just trying to fill the funnel of your lead funnel and get people in there. And using some of this AI-derived data, they are being able to more highly qualify leads. And we're passing it through a screening, with our ability to tell you, hey, this roof is 12 years old, it's in poor condition, or this roof is 2 years old, they don't need a new roof. Don't bother knocking that door. Don't bother sending them a mailer because it's likely not to convert into an opportunity. But as you move across that spectrum from market and territory analysis being high speed and low cost are the two drivers, of that, all the way to the right where, the installation or material ordering, what you need is perfectly accurate data on that side, which migrates from our property data all the way to our premium roof reports and premium, full house reports, where you're getting all the attributes there. That's when you can convert that into a material order, through JobTread. So you can look right into your supplier's pricing catalog, SKUs, everything, and build your estimate. I mean, with a perfect degree of confidence that you've got it nailed down when you get to that point. A couple of things that in the beginning of your workflow, you've got market and territory analysis and lead generation. I would say without hesitation, the number one thing that contractors mention, if there's something you can help them with, is leads, better quality leads, sales. Everything's driven from there. Occasionally, I'll hear people say, "I don't have enough crews, to build the work I'm doing," but that's a good problem to have, because it means you're outselling your ability to produce. But the inverse is not good. If you don't have enough business coming in the front end, you've got more crews, they're going to somebody else who's got the business. And you have to leverage the technology to stay in front of the competition out there, and not just not stay in front of the competition, but meet the homeowners' requirements. Today they're getting more savvy. The homeowners are requiring faster turnaround. We know that if you respond to a lead within 30 minutes, your likelihood to close that lead is 2 or 3 or 4 times greater than if you're responding in 2 hours or 6 hours or 24 hours. The first person to get that lead and respond to that lead is way more likely to turn that into an actual sale than somebody who doesn't have an automation using data and leveraging the features of JobTread to stay in touch with those customers and to automate those communications. It's really important. And that the lower left-hand picture there, this is, I see Andrew said, how do you get a market territory analysis? And this is one of the things we can do with the property data. So for instance, if you are in, I don't know where that is, Milton, Massachusetts, maybe, but if you are selling higher end asphalt shingles, for instance, and you want to know what roofs out there are asphalt, what roofs are over 15 years old, especially in a retail environment where insurance, or storming isn't really driving it. You're in a retail and you want to go out there and understand the market. You can do a lot of things. I mean, you can understand, there's open source data, and then there's structural data, which is what we provide. And open source data, meaning white pages, name, address, average income, credit score, those kinds of things to understand the persona of the customer out there. But then when you combine the persona with the actual need for products or services on the exterior of the house, that's where you really get a very thorough market analysis. And then you can target specific areas or specific structures for the profile that you're looking for. And I'll say, for instance, we worked with a manufacturer who wanted to know how many cedar roofs were in Minneapolis. And instead of sending out a mailer to 250,000 houses in the zip codes that they were interested in, we ran our AI ML models on every structure in Minneapolis and found that there were 20 some thousand instead of 250,000 addresses that were a qualified roof, what they were looking for. So we turned a marketing spend that was maybe a dollar per address. What they did is turned it into a $10 per address and mailed a very, high value, high closing piece of marketing material to these homeowners and converted a substantial amount of those homes into actual leads for their contractor base. So there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things you can do to do that market analysis, and leveraging, the AI, type products out there are super important. So that left end is where you can really dig deep into some of the market analysis. When you move further along, you can see you get in, you've done your market and territory analysis, you get into lead generation, qualifying, and estimating a proposal. And here's the beauty. See, what Eagleview does is provide the raw materials. So we provide the data, but we don't provide the value add part to that. That's where JobTread comes in. And you'll see here in the demo a little bit, you can take the roof area estimate and pitch, and maybe condition those types of things. And through a configuration inside JobTread, you can leverage that to create essentially a very quick estimate. Good, better, best. That's a standard common technique in selling, is to provide good, better, best. Whether you're selling mattresses or roofs, doesn't really matter. That's a very common method to go and increase net sales, per transaction. But also you can give customers a range, and what that really does on the range side is it sets an emotional baseline for what they were expecting. So they didn't know what to expect a roof to cost them. Now you give them, near instant proposal or a range of proposals. Hey, it's an asphalt shingle, it's going to be 10 to 12. It's a tile, it's going to be 16 to 20. It's steel, it's going to be, 25 to 30. Now they're benchmarked. Now when you have an opportunity to interact with that homeowner, you're more likely to close that sale and not face as much pricing objection, because you've already benchmarked them mentally as to where it's likely to come out. And the data that's out there allows you to respond to those leads in less than 30 minutes with nice slick ranges. And then once you get that appointment set, then you can start getting more higher fidelity data, like Eagleview's Bid Perfect or our premium report, to actually fill in all the lines. A lot of contractors in residential retail are going to bid by the square. Much easier to get a bid out faster. When you get into storm restoration and you're in Xactimate and that's a process. It's a little bit different depending on the market that you're in. That requires a little bit more data up front in order for you to do the line items and do all the work there. But really leveraging this data in the proposal generation is your ability to meet the homeowner where they are. And then as you move on to the contracting, your project planning, your material ordering and installation, this is where you can import all the Eagleview premium measurements for your full house or your premium roof report, build those budgets, get down to the contractual level of detail that's required for the homeowner to really build that out. It also gives you the opportunity to upsell. Again, that good, better, best. If you're not doing something like that, I think you're leaving money on the table. And psychologically, when you talk to homeowners and you don't give them one option, you give them three options. It gives them agency over the whole sales process. They have buy-in, and it's much easier to get them to really accept the proposal that you're doing if they have the optionality. And it also gives your sales reps a lot more opportunity to build in higher margin accessories like ventilation, ice and water shield, ridge vent, those kinds of things. Paint on all the accessories up there, the box vents, the plumbing stacks, those kinds of things. Higher window sales, premium siding sales, all those things. And that's something that you can really build into your process using JobTread, which is awesome. So with that, I know we're still got a good amount of time, but I'm going to hand it back to Eric, and he's going to run you through a demo of how you actually you activate your Eagleview account and automate that process right through the budget and JobTread integration. So take it away, Eric.
Yeah, appreciate it. All right, we're going to switch over here. So you should now see my screen. So again, this is our demo community. We've got just some pretty graphs and charts here. But as Rob said, the first place that you're going to want to start is going to be over here in the integrations. And so this is where you're going to see the Eagleview tile. You'll have the ability to come in and I'm already connected, but essentially you would connect. Your integration kind of gives you just a couple setup things. One thing to note, if you do want to, kind of restrict who can order, or really, I guess you're giving permission to people who can order their Eagleview reports on your account, then you'll want to set up those permissions here. But it's a fairly simple kind of just click to integrate. One thing I'll also note too is that with this integration, you're also going to be able to get your first. I believe it says one, but I think devs
I
are
think we
pushing
got
out an update right now. I think it's like the first five
three.
reports, right? First
I think
three.
it's 3 or 5 reports. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, first few are on us.
Yep. So super, super exciting that you're able to do that. And I think Matthew actually just said it looks like it's the first five. So again, great way to try it out. If you're not, currently integrated with it, I highly recommend it. You will want one caveat: if you haven't ever created an Eagleview account, you will need to create your account with Eagleview first, and you do need to have a billing credit card on the account, even if you're going to do the first five through us, and then decide like you do still have to have just a card on your account. But once you get that all set up, the neat thing is when we come over to a job, I'm just going to create a new job here, and I'm going to do it right here. So we're going to create the job. Just like with the rest of JobTread, right? Like the budget is the foundation. This is where you're going to want to already have your templates set up. So when I come in here, let's see, I'm actually gonna do this Eagleview QXO demo template here. So this has already got essentially kind of all of our materials, the good, better, best. As you can see right here, we've got the formulas for you to see how we're going to calculate the material and the labor and everything that's going to go into this. But once you've got that set up, then back over here on the home screen, you've got the ability to click Manage Eagleview Reports. And so this is where, if you don't have a report already ordered, you're going to be able to click Order a New Report. You've got, all the different, there's a lot of different options that you can choose from. These are all kind of available to you. I think probably the most comprehensive are going to be the premium residential seems to be the most popular. Rob, you can correct me if I'm wrong there, but
Premium residential for roofing. That's it. Yep. And the full house for exteriors.
yep. So obviously, if you wanted to start with the quick squares, quick measure, you can do that, kind of get that data real quickly, and then upgrade to the premium. Is that correct? And they just kind of pay the difference.
Yep, that's correct.
Yeah. So again, got a lot of different options here. Kind of just your standard what's gonna go into ordering. Now I've already got got one ordered a long time ago, so could keep using it. But add to job. And so what's happening now is, since I've already got this report on my Eagleview account, it's gonna pull it in. So if you did a job for someone and then a year later, whatever, however long later, like you're not gonna have to keep ordering the report over and over. You do get to use it as long as the address is the same. And so I'm going to come in here, and so again, all the measurement data is just automatically pulled in from that report. You can see all the values. I'm just going to go ahead and hit import. And the key thing though is in the template, and why I went and I showed the template first, is that when you have your parameters already set up to match the Eagleview parameters, you don't have to edit anything. If I didn't want to import something, I could turn it off. I'm just going to import it all. The other cool thing is, if I had already put in some data, and something changed or difference, like you would have actually seen the delta right there on that report. But, right here, you're going to see the report gets dropped into the job. If I would have ordered this report, right now, then you would actually see all of this data get dropped in as soon as the report is available. You don't have to do anything, but you can kind of go back in and grab that measurement data. But again, the power of this is that we've now been able to pull in all of those data points right here, so we can see exactly what that takeoff did and all of those calculations. And so once you've got all that, I can save it. This is where in the all the parameters, if I needed to come in and manual override something, do whatever you can. But this is automatically pulling all that in there, and then I'm just going to go over here, new document. We're going to create a proposal. And all of that has been pulled right into this proposal. However much detail you want to share is totally up to you. I'm not like, big advocate of giving a full breakdown of every single thing that, is part of this. This is where, again, kind of however you set up your template, you can decide how much you want to show and hide. But this is where that good, better, best, the ability for the customer to make their own selections, if however, again, you might make those recommendations, you're giving them the ability to control the budget. So instead of haggling you on price, look, if you can't get the luxury, if that's out of your budget, cool. Like let's downgrade. We can go to one of the other ones. Like but it's giving those controls. You could also have your gutter selections on here. You could have, kind of whatever might be going into this job. When you've already set that up in the template, it gives you the ability to very quickly, sell this job. You got your payment schedule. You do have the built-in homeowner financing, as well as all the, terms, conditions, things like that. Definitely not paying 82,000. This is on my home, so it looks like we might have added some extra stuff in there, because I did just have a JobTread contractor redo my roof. I think I was around 35 or something. But again, it's a very quick and easy way to get this job sent out, get the order approved from the customer. I'm going to actually go ahead and send this. Again, they might be out there in the field with you. You could hand them your tablet if you want them to sign right there, or you could actually, just have them, get on their phone. They're going to be able to open up the proposal, go straight to it. I'm doing this on my phone here, but you can actually see all the history. So the email is delivered, it was opened. Now I'm proposal viewed. So I'm going to go through. We're going to go with one of these shingles here, and we will go ahead and sign off and approve it. And so, I've very quickly captured, that customer, got them off the market, got them going. And then the other neat thing, though, as Rob was talking about earlier, so now that we have our approved budget, we can directly come in here, and because I have this template already set up, with QXO, I can just come in plus document. I can do a QXO order. This also works just the same with SRS. So if you're ordering from SRS or QXO, your ability to do this right here. I can come in. It's going to pull in all of the items from my budget that were linked to QXO. It didn't select the two options that I didn't approve as the customer. It's got all of this right here built in. I can pick my delivery date, time. Any instructions. I mean, if I wanted it for pickup, I guess you can do that too. But right here, I could directly submit this order. It would go straight into QXO system. Their reps will review it. Get it all fulfilled. If they have any problems, they'll give you a call. Same thing with SRS. So really excited to be able to have the entire material ordering and delivering right through JobTread. It's super powerful, and again, as Rob said, our goal is to make this as seamless as possible. This is basically this PO got created, got submitted. You can view the order details as things are happening. It's going to keep all that information up to date for you. So that's I think the quick down and dirty on the Eagleview report there. A lot of updates. But again, the goal is to make this as seamless as possible. And we're just really excited to be partnering with you guys.
No, that's great. So QXO and SRS, that's tied right into their ERP systems, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, what that means for the contractors is like it's not sending an email with a list of stuff to their sales rep. It actually generates the PO right inside of your account in either QXO or SRS. So it eliminates all the manual reentry. Any of the mistakes, your pricing's live and accurate. That's huge. I mean, like that's huge. And I'll say, I mean, when you order a premium report, it can take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours maybe to get it back. The full blown thing, and that's probably the longest delay that you'll have in anywhere in the entire process. If you're leveraging the Eagleview data, the property data that we talked about, that's something that we're working towards getting built in with JobTread. It's not available today, but that's something that we're working on. But everything else that Eric demoed was literally real time. Once you have once you go through onboarding and have your templates and all that stuff set up, you build that out. Literally, it's a few clicks and you're off and running. It's I know I couldn't imagine doing it any other way.
So we do often get asked from people. So I guess kind of through QXO or SRS, they may get some kind of whatever their pricing is for their reports. If you let us know, you're going to get that same exact pricing directly through here. And then that way the reports are actually on your account. If you do end up ordering through, some other means, or if and it's not actually on your Eagleview account, it could be on their account, then you might not see those reports. And so then you'd have to basically manually enter, the measurement data. So, there's a direct advantage to ordering right through here now. And then again, the order still gets submitted to QXO or SRS.
And if you're a new JobTread customer and that order is already in your Eagleview account, like Eric demonstrated, when you go to import that, it'll search by job address your report order history in your Eagleview account, and show you what ones you have in your report order history. So you don't have to order it again. So
Yeah.
if you weren't a JobTread customer last month and you had a job that's pending and now you are, you can just retrieve it into your report order history and grab that report without having to reorder it, which is great. But
So why don't you give us some key takeaways here, and then I see we got a handful of questions
yep,
that we're going to run through.
100%. Yeah. Key takeaways for you guys. Make sure you set up your account, and connect, set up in JobTread and connect your Eagleview account to it. And have your credit card on file. If you're already an Eagleview customer, all you have to do is when you go to connect the account is just enter your Eagleview credentials and your account will automatically be connected. If you're not in Eagleview, if you're new to Eagleview, it'll redirect you to create an account and then it'll redirect you back into JobTread to, complete the process. Really start every project with the precise property data. I know a lot of contractors will pick and choose jobs. Hey, it's a complicated job. I'll pull an Eagleview job. It's an up and over, salt box. I'm not going to do that. But it's not the time it takes, or the cost there. It's the friction in the system that you want to eliminate and avoid, which is why you start as early as you can with the data, because the Eagleview data and measurements and pricing that shows up in QuickBooks on the back end. I mean, like literally, it starts at the front of your workflow and ends at collections, and you want to take advantage of it the entire way through your process. You can unlock additional Eagleview data. So like we said, the property data, the roof area estimate, for instance, and then you upgrade to a bid perfect that gives you the area precisely. And I didn't mention this in the beginning, but when you see that wireframe, the digital wireframe on the left side of that picture there, humans actually do that. So like that's not automated. Like the roof area estimate, that is automated, but our core products, our core reports are all done by humans. You'll get a technician that'll grab the imagery, they'll wireframe it out. Our software calculates all the geometry and does all that stuff, which is why we have, the accuracy guarantee and we've got such high level of precision with it, because not only does a person do it, but it goes through 3 or 4 steps of quality control before it gets, pushed out into the platform. You want to build Eagleview data automation into your processes. Leverage. I mean, another thing that I hear constantly from contractors. I'm curious. I ask contractors every time I talk to them, what percentage of features do you use with your workflow platform? And invariably, it's like 15%, 20%. Not. I mean, you never hear anybody say 60, 70, 80, 90%. But that's, I think you're paying for it. All those features are there and available for you, and I know it takes a lot to train. So I don't, discount the fact that that's, it takes some work on your part to actually leverage all of it, but super important to take advantage of every feature that JobTread has, and work it into your process. Build that market and data analysis intelligence in your workflow, and it will allow you to scale your business with unique offerings. And I know the market is changing. We're seeing a lot of private equity roll-ups in the roofing space, and they're getting fast. They're getting standardized across the board, with the technology that they're using, because they're managing multiple locations, multiple brands, logos, states, all that kind of stuff. And there's only one way you can do that, and it's leverage technology. But you need to scale your business with unique offerings and not just stick to roofing, for instance. But if you're into decking, get into roofing. If you're into siding, get into painting. I mean, like there's ways to grow your business, by leveraging the crews and the technology that you have, really. And obviously, shameless plug for Eagleview, using Eagleview data, right from the get-go, and, leveraging it all the way through the entire workflow. But with that, again, Eric, thanks for having me. I really
Yeah.
appreciate the opportunity to get in front of the customers and share our experiences and things like that. And we're wide open for questions.
Yeah, absolutely. So I got a direct question here from someone. So they asked, where can we see a list of all the parameters? So over in the help desk, if you come in here and you just search for Eagleview, you're going to see the integration. And so when you click on that, here's kind of the article about it. But down at the bottom, there's a whole section, common Eagleview report types and parameters. Looks like we might even need to add some of the newer stuff. But like right in here, you can kind of see all of these different parameters, and so it gives you the name, and then it also tells you what the unit of measure is. But total roof area, you would incorporate that into your templates there. We had another one from Chantal here. So, are you only working images in the U.S.? We are working in Canada.
Yeah, it's a great question. We have about 95% of the U.S. We don't fly national forests because there's no houses out there. So if you look at a coverage map, there's big spaces that are uncovered because there's no houses there. But we have about 95% of the structures in the country imaged. We image the top 100 metro areas by population once every 12 months. So our frequency is very high in the metro areas. Um, we do have all of the major metropolitan areas in Canada imaged. We have Calgary, Vancouver, Montreal, Quebec. So a lot of them. Our footprint in Canada is growing considerably. So in all likelihood, if you're near one of the major cities, we've got you covered there.
Looks like she followed up with, what about Ottawa?
Um, Off the top of my head, I don't know, but there's a good chance we have some, if not all, of Ottawa covered.
Awesome. All right. So Jeff Covert here said, I interestingly just ran into your company 2 days ago through Menards. I have a roof and siding project I'm starting up soon and wanted to get an estimate going. My question is, how often is your data updated? The reason behind the question is that we demoed a 3-season porch first. How would this be reflected in a model and takeoffs from Eagleview?
Yeah, so the answer, I mean, follows up my last statement. Like the top 100 metro areas, we're recapturing every year. You know, the majority of the population or structures in that major metropolitan area, we've got getting out into some of the more rural areas. And I know Menards, is in a lot of more rural areas. That might be once every couple of years that we get out there and do that. Our strategic capture, what we call it, is we just capture without any base demand for it in specific areas is getting better. We have not slack in our resources, but it's been something over the past couple of years that if we've got airplanes, they're in the air. If the weather's good and the conditions are good, we're out there capturing imagery, to build that library. So it kind of depends. And I'm happy to put you in touch with the Eagleview rep that covers your area, and they can give you all the guidance you need on the image frequency and currency.
Yeah. Now, whenever there's like a big storm coming in or something like that, I mean, aren't you guys are flying like typically right before and after, right?
Well, we fly certainly after. In areas where there's a lot of storms, we fly immediately after because the
Okay.
insurance carriers we have 24 of the top 25 insurance carriers use Eagleview as their kind of source of truth. We're an independent third party company that provides the data. And like if a hurricane rolls through Houston, we'll come and fly it within days. I mean, as soon as the weather clears, we'll fly it. And we have a product called Change Finder that we run pre-storm against post-storm imagery, and our change finder ML can tell us what changed down to the pixel level. So like a shingle's missing or the house was on the beach and the house is missing kind of thing. And then we take that information and give it back to the insurance company within a couple weeks. And then they can start doing the triage for the damage. But yeah, we do that for every storm, probably not every hailstorm, but every tornado, every hurricane, and most of the hailstorms, we're out there fielding our aircraft and capturing that data.
Gotcha. And Brian here asked, what is the turnaround for an Eagle View order?
Yep. I would say 1 to 3 hours for a premium roof report, maybe a little bit longer for a full house because it takes a little bit longer to draw it and do the output. But generally under 4 hours, we get pretty much anything turned around. I will say if we have, last year was a very light hailstorm year or storm year. But if we have hailstorms and tornadoes and hurricanes, rolling across the South, I think we did 49,000 roof reports in a single day. But we also, we can get stretched when we get back-to-back storms there, and that sometimes can draw you out to 8 or 12 hours. But, day in, day out, you pretty much count on us, 2 to 3 hours.
Great. And James said, can this be applicable for a landscaping company? Trees, obstacles will likely block the view.
Yeah, that's a great question. Typically, we fly leaf off. So we fly we fly in the fall. We fly year round, but in areas where the leaves do fall off the trees, like Minnesota, we fly in the wintertime when the weather's nice, so we can see as well as we can through the trees. There's some areas where, yeah, obviously, like in the Pacific Northwest, they're all evergreens. The leaves never fall off the trees. So we capture year round in those areas. But we try to get the capture where you can see through as much of the trees as possible. Certainly not perfect, but we get pretty good. Even in areas with highly forested areas like Minnesota, we can still capture it.
All right, so similar follow-up question here from Garrett. Thoughts on how valuable this could be for paint contractors?
Yeah, it's another great question. I mean, roofing is kind of our core contractor business. This is where we started really, and that's the primary reason. But because we have those obliques and you can see the walls, we have a walls product that doesn't cut in windows and doors. It just gives you a wall area, and it also segments, again, like I mentioned earlier, siding and non-siding, so paintable surfaces versus non-paintable surfaces. So we have a lot of painting contractors that are starting to take advantage of Eagleview data for fast paint estimates as well. And then if you do the full house or the walls, windows, and doors, we give you the perimeter of the windows. So like my house, I have James Hardy siding on it, and so we repaint. It's not vinyl. So the trim's a different color. I gave the painting contractor when they did our house. We got our house painted last year, and they had all the linear dimensions for all the trim and window trim and corner trim and all that, plus the area. So it's a great use case.
Awesome. All right, I think we got through all of the questions there. I'm
Great
curious
questions.
in the chat. Let us know if who all is currently using the Eagleview integration here, or how many of you guys are going to go check it out. I mean, again, remember you get your first five free. So James, Garrett, this could
Yep.
be a great opportunity to go and pull it for one of those projects to see how it'll work for you. Same thing, Chantal. You'll be able to see. Um, Awesome, Jeff said, this is great. Thank you. Going to try it on our next project. Glad to hear that. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. And you can go onto the Eagleview. I actually you might be able to explain it better, but in the marketplace, you can click on the Eagleview logo and you can leave if you're currently a customer, you can leave a review. But there's also a landing page. So contact Eagleview to learn more. So feel free to jump on in there. And that goes to our sales team, and one of our sales team will, we have geographic regions, so it'll be assigned to the team. Actually, we have several people assigned to each area in the country, so it'll get to that team, and somebody will reach out to you.
Yeah, definitely. If you're currently using it, go leave these guys a review. Show them some love. Be much
Yeah,
appreciated.
appreciate it. And I see
Uh,
James Esch from Lancaster. I came from I live in Colorado, but I lived in Lancaster for 5 years before I moved to Denver back in the '90s. So I love Lancaster.
awesome. Well, again, really appreciate you coming on, Rob, taking the time to walk us through, what you guys are doing at Eagleview. Again, it's been really awesome to be a partner with you, seeing kind of how you're leveraging all this data, how you're making it available through these integrations. At the end of the day, our goal is to help as many of these contractors to win more jobs. And so you guys are, playing a huge role in that, just helping them get the data right into their hands so that they can go sell those jobs, and ultimately turn around, get the materials, ordered, have it all be accurate, and be able to install. So just appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Thank you all
Love it.
for
Yep.
attending today's webinar, and yeah, look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate it, Eric.
All right, have a good one. See you guys.
Yep.